Meet a Clark University student traveling to Sri Lanka to research post-war sentiments towards ethnic minorities. Plus, reaction from the Asian community on President Obama's immigration executive order. And we say goodbye to a veteran cinematographer and a friend of Boston Lanka. Hello, I'm Esther Vaida. Welcome to SA News, bringing you news, views, and entertainment from the South Asian community in the United States. President Barack Obama's new immigration overhaul may help at least 800,000 young undocumented citizens avoid deportation for 2 years. But how does this affect the Asian American community? Mimoa is the president and executive director of the Asian American Justice Center in Washington, D.C. We spoke to her via Skype.
We're very excited, and we want to applaud the executive branch for making the decision regarding the Dreamers. It's a decision that we've all been waiting for a long, long time. The Dreamers and their families certainly have been waiting for a long, long time. But this is just temporary relief. And we're really looking forward to the upcoming post-election congressional sessions to make sure that we make it a permanent relief for our Dreamers and their families.
And for those people who don't know, Dreamers, of course, is named after the failed DREAM Act. How hopeful are you that something will indeed happen next time around?
Well, the issue of creating, not only giving an opportunity for Dreamers to go to school, but being very intentional of creating a path to citizenship for Dreamers who are living, working part of our future in this country is not something that should have ever been a political football to begin with. Because overwhelmingly, in all the public surveys, there's a majority of Americans who believe deeply in a continual investment in the Dreamers. So at the end of the day, I like to say that we want to see it become a permanent solution, but we don't know, given the elections, what the conditions are going to be like on the Hill and in the executive branch to make that happen. That's why I feel very strongly that even though we've been given this temporary relief, this upcoming election is going to be very significant. And I think by making the decision that they did, this current administration is putting this issue front and center as an election issue, and I think hopefully it will make a difference in creating the best conditions possible for us to bring about a permanent solution.
But they've made it a central topic because politically they're going after the Hispanic vote. So how much is this affecting the Asian community?
Well, what people don't know is that there are a lot of Asian American students who are also Dreamers. I believe the statistic, and don't quote me on this, though, is that I think 1 out of 7 or maybe 1 out of 10 students in the California UC system who are undocumented are Asian Americans. And so in the Asian American community, we take this relief very, very seriously, and we know that it's going to have a tremendous impact on the lives of Asian American Dreamers and their families. So we're firmly committed to this as an issue. This is not just a Latino Hispano issue, but it is really an American issue that's affecting all communities all across this country.
Mimoa, thank you so much for your time once again.
Tune in to a later episode of SA News when we talk to me about a recent survey on the Asian American community's untapped political power. A native of Sri Lanka and Clark University student from Worcester will spend the summer researching the psychological process that hindered reconciliation in a post-war society in her homeland. Kulani Panapitiya Diaz was among 10 students named Steinbrecher Fellows at the Worcester-based school. The students received between $500 to $2,500 to pursue a public service project or research an issue around the globe. We spoke to Diaz via Skype before she left for Sri Lanka.
Kulani, welcome to SA News and congratulations on being named a Steinbrecher Fellow.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
And you're going to be going to Sri Lanka at the end of July to look at something that's very near and dear to your country right now. Talk about what your focus will be.
So I'm currently working on a project on moral disengagement, in-group glorification, and systems justification in Sri Lanka. So loosely translated, that just means that I'll be interviewing and surveying both Sinhalese and Tamils on issues regarding the war, how their opinions, asking them about different scenarios that actually happened and events that actually happened during the war. So,
what do you hope to do with this information?
So I'm working on this information for my double honors thesis at Clark. I'm an undergrad at Clark right now. And what I hope to do is, in order to take steps to solve a certain issue, you need to figure out what the problem is. You need to figure out how people actually think about these constructs. And it's interesting because the way that people justify what happened, that's what you need to get to the root of. And you need people to actually understand that this is how I justify what happened, and this is the problem. So I'm just trying to help to take those steps, try to figure out how people justify these different events, like justify their side of the story or their group side of the story, so that people can take steps to kind of rectify and reconciliate the differences between these two groups.
What are you hoping to find?
Well, that's interesting because this research is actually based on a pilot study that I already conducted in December, and the findings of that study were fascinating, and that's one of the reasons why my project was funded by the Steinbrecher Fellowship to continue on during the summer.
What were some of the findings?
Well, the December findings found that there was a lot of, for example, competitive victimhood going on. A lot of people tend to justify what happened by saying, this is okay, it's okay that this happened because the other group did this. This happened on both sides. You know, this is because I interview, and a lot of people during these interview scenarios tend to say that it's okay that we did this because they did this as well. So it's kind of
pointing the fingers at each other.
Exactly. There's a lot of advantages comparison that goes on. My research is based on Albert Bandura's, who was a psychologist. He did a study on moral disengagement in 1996, and it was interesting because a lot of the mechanisms that he pointed out, like advantages comparison, it's okay that we did this, for example, like setting up that vicious cycle. There's a lot of euphemistic labeling. We didn't kill anyone; it was self-defense, and that kind of thing. This of course happens on both sides. Both ethnic groups and cultural groups tend to say the same thing.
So you'll be going back home to live with your family, I'm guessing? Or is your family here in the United States?
My family's actually in Sri Lanka. Well, they're all over the place, but the core of my family is in Sri Lanka, yes.
So your mom, dad, siblings?
Yes, yeah.
And how long will you be staying there?
I will be in Sri Lanka for roughly about 5 weeks, collecting data from all over the country.
Well, Kulani, we hope to have more conversations with you while you're in Sri Lanka, hopefully via Skype. Please keep us updated. It's a fascinating topic. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Diaz is pursuing a double major in psychology and English. She will graduate from Clark in 2013. And finally, some sad news about a veteran cinematographer from Sri Lanka and a friend of Boston Lanka. Suminda Weerasinghe, an award-winning cinematographer, passed away in Sri Lanka on June 19th. The cinematographer was working on the newest movie Siri Dalada Gamanaya in Sri Lanka when he died at the age of 62. Suminda was in the USA this January when he was the lead cameraman in the first ever Sri Lankan teledrama done in the USA. He stayed more than 1 month in Boston. I spoke to Chitral Delmel, president of Boston Lanka, about Weerasinghe.
He's the cinema photographer of one of the very well-known films such as Abba, Arunata Pera, Bindu, and then Road to Elephant Pass, and then there are countless of films. I think he had been the cinema photographer for about 39 films, And then, of course, he had worked for more than 200 films in his filming career that last about 40 years. And he had won about 23 national awards for cinema photography.
And he came to Boston. Why?
Well, he came as the lead photographer, lead cameraman for the teledrama we have done in Boston. It's produced by Boston Lanka. It's the first ever Sri Lankan teledrama in USA called Adarani and Niagara. And he was with us for about 1.5 months and been a real inspiration and also been a mentor to many of us who really helped us with this teledrama project.
What will you remember about him?
Well, of course, he has wealth of experience as a cinema photographer and as a filmmaker, but he's very humble, very gentle, always willing to share what he knew, always willing to motivate the young people, and he had so much love and passion for filmmaking, and he's a very committed person. Always wake up at early morning, no matter how late he goes to bed. Sometimes we shoot till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, midnight, and then we start from the following day around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. He's the first one to wake up and wake others up, and sometimes even make coffee for the. He's such a team player, and he won so many friends in Boston, and that's why some of us are getting together to do this special Buddhist event for him, because he's such a wonderful person.
That's our show for this week. If you have any story ideas or comments, email me at esther@bostonlanka.com. And if you want to see past episodes, go to bostonlanka.com. See you next week on Sa News.